Hello, all you scaredy cats and kittens, and welcome to the Two Scaredy Cats podcast, where we talk about all things strange, unusual, and paranormal. We're your hostess with the mostest. I'm Stacy.
I'm Kara.
So, Kara, what's been going on in the past couple of weeks? I haven't talked to you in a while because you've been too busy for your convention that you had last weekend.
Yep.
Anything going on or anything that happened the past few weeks that was exciting?
Just preparing for that convention. That's all I was doing. And it feels like a fever dream.
Hey, did you get to see the Ant-Man and the Wasp that came out over the weekend by any chance?
No,
okay.
Because it was while it was
okay.
gone.
I didn't know. Yeah,
Mario went and saw it without.
Yeah, we saw it too.
I am caught up on The Last of Us.
Oh, you caught? I'm not. I still have to watch the last episode of that. Oh no, wait. I'm all.
The 6th?
No, I saw it. Never mind. I'm all caught up now. I swear.
Did you see the one with the snow?
Yes. Why are all these stupid episodes so sad? I mean, seriously, I've never cried so hard.
Yeah, that one was really sad.
I know. I'm like, what is going on
I was
here?
like, what the heck? They need a more scary one. I need like another.
Yeah. And I can't say, I'll ask something off air about that because me and Dad had questions, but because you've played the game before, but I don't want to ruin it for anybody, so I'm not going to say anything in case people are
I would just,
but I'll
I'll
ask you later
before I leave.
Yep. But anyway, we saw Ant-Man and the Wasp. That was a really good movie. I highly recommend it. I know it's not been getting a lot of good praise though. I thought it was pretty good. And that's all
Mario liked it.
And that's all I'm going to say about it because I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but yeah, there was some really cool characters in that you just kind of you fell in love with and couldn't help. My favorite character, Pav or Pev or something like that. It was a gelatinous character. He was really cool. I liked him. Yeah, sorry. But you'll find out when you see the movie. But anyway, and I don't want to give any more away than that. So this week on the podcast, we thought we'd do something a little bit different here. We actually asked a question on our Instagram page. And if you haven't checked us out on Instagram, you can find us at the Two Scaredy Cats podcast on at Instagram. Anyway, we had asked the question about...
first paranormal experience, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. We asked people what their first paranormal experience was, and we had a couple of listeners that responded to us, so thanks to those people. So I wanted to share with you some of the stories that we got from some of our friends. So the first one comes from Medium Annie Larson. She shared with us that she was at the age of 5 when she had her first paranormal experience. She said the spirit of a woman that my sister brought home from a seance. She said it was scary and exciting because it confirmed my mediumship skills that I was born with. So again, thank you to Medium Annie Larson. You can find her on Instagram also. Thank you for that. We appreciate you listening to us and responding on Instagram. And then we had another listener, Britwick Cosplay, who said, my grandma's house. It used to be part of a coal camp. She had a room I wasn't allowed to go in that used to be my great-grandmother's. I would always imagine/dream this old lady walking down a set of stairs that connected that room to the bedroom I would sleep in. Eventually they moved houses, and while helping them pack, I was allowed into the room, and I saw a picture of my great-grandma who I had never seen before. It was the same woman that I had been dreaming about all this time. So, again, that is...
So crazy.
I know, isn't it crazy, some people's stories? I mean, that's cool, but it's still crazy. And again, that was Britwick Cosplay. You can follow her on Instagram. She has some really neat cosplays that she likes to do.
It's cosplay.
Cosplay, I know, sorry. I know, I'm not in the lingo. Sorry. Sorry, Brit, if I butchered your name on Instagram. Sorry about that. And then our last one is Obscure Appalachia. She said that they said that they were 12 or 13-ish. They said, I had friends over for a sleepover and we did a seance. The person in the poster on my bedroom wall shook his head no violently and visibly when we asked, give us a sign if we shouldn't be doing this anymore. And she says that she did a whole episode about this, and I actually went and found her podcast and listened to it, and it was pretty good. She had some other stories also that happened to her when she was younger that she talked about in that particular podcast. So go check them out. It's Obscure Appalachia, and like I said, you can find her wherever any you listen to your podcast, or you can find her on Instagram. So yeah, that is pretty cool.
Reminds me of that. Remember, didn't you always tell me you had an experience when you had a friend who lived in the graveyard or something?
Yes.
Or and they had a house that lived there, and you had like crazy stories.
My friend, actually, her grandparents were the caretakers of a graveyard, and she would have like sleepovers with her grandparents and stuff, and she would tell us stories that sometimes, like in the middle of the night, when everybody was asleep, their back door would open. Now, remember, this is like during the summer, and this was probably in the late 70s, early 80s, and they would hear the back door or their kitchen door like slam open and shut. And her grandparents would go down and check it out, and there would be like nobody there. But over the years, they've seen apparitions and stuff in the house from people that have like recently died or whatever. They would like play in the graveyard, which is probably not the best thing to be doing. But she said that they would see creepy things, strange things happen in the graveyard and stuff. And she said it was very like, she didn't like spending the night there if she didn't have to. But yeah, so that was my friend's experience when she was little. And Jenny, if you ever listen to this, hi, and thanks for sharing the stories. Yeah, there's more, but that's the one I can think of off the top of my head. So I guess we're going to go ahead and get started this week. I believe I'm up first. So this week, the story that I'm going to be talking about is the Enfield Monster, and it's also known as the Devil's Kitchen. So the southern portion of the state of Illinois is known as the Devil's Kitchen, and this name came about by the Native Americans and the early settlers because of strange sights and sounds that they would hear when they were developing the land, including they would see unexplained balls of light, they would see apparitions, they would hear screams in the night that didn't go with any animal that they recognized, and they would also have other strange phenomenon that would occur. Now, the Native Americans believed that this area was sacred. So obviously, they had there was some burial grounds around in that area and stuff, while the settlers called the land cursed. So the Devil's Kitchen is a hotbed of all kinds of paranormal activity, from ghost sightings to mystery animals and some weird monster sightings. But one of the weirdest monster sightings took place 49 years ago in April 1973 in the small town of Enfield. So our story starts with Henry McDaniel, who was at home one evening on April 25th, 1973, when he hears a scratching noise at his front door. Now, earlier in the evening, his children were home alone before him and his wife got home, and they had been hearing strange noises outside of their home. So by the time the parents got home, the kids were pretty freaked out, and they were telling their dad that, hey, we've been hearing these strange noises. So by the time him and his wife get home, there's this very loud scratching noise on their house. And so he goes and opens up the door. And when he opens up the door, he sees what's making this noise, and it's this weird creature that's like just staring at him. Apparently this creature had 3 legs, a short body, 2 little short arms, and those were coming off the chest area. It had a slimy skin and 2 pink eyes that were as big as floodlights. It stood 4.5 feet to 5 feet tall and was grayish in color, and it was trying to enter the McDaniel's house. So as you can imagine, Henry McDaniel was very scared and did not want this creature to come in his home. So since this was a small town and he was a farmer, he had a gun. So he ran and got his gun, and he opened up his front door very quickly and shot at the creature. Now, when he shot the creature, he heard this horrible hissing noise, kind of like the sound that a wild cat would make. and it started to jump away. And when it jumped away, it would jump by covering 75 feet in 3 jumps. So this was like the strangest thing that the McDaniels had seen at this time. So after this sighting occurred, he decided that he was going to call the cops to report this because, it was really weird. So McDaniels called the cops, and they came, and when they were looking around, they found scratches on the siding of the house. And they also found tracks similar to dogs, except that the foot pads of this particular creature that they saw in the dirt was a 6-toe pad thing instead of 4 toes or pads that dogs would normally, or a canine would usually have. And the tracks, they measured 4 inches across. So this was like a pretty big, footprint that they found. They also said what was weird about it, there was actually 3 footprints. It wasn't just like 2 or 4. There was legit 3. And the first 2 were the same size, and the back paw print was just a little bit smaller than the other 2. Now, also during this time, about a half hour prior to McDaniels calling the cops to complain about, this weird looking creature that showed up at his door, he had neighbors that lived behind him, and there was a little boy by the name of Greg Garrett who had been outside, and he was, playing in his yard like little kids would do. And while he's out there playing, he saw the same 3-legged creature, and he claimed that it attacked him. Now, as you can imagine, the parents are freaking out, right? Because their son's coming in saying, I got attacked by this creature. And when they actually got around to looking to see, where this supposed creature attacked him at, they saw that that the creature just stepped on his shoes. It didn't scratch him, but it stepped on his shoes, and it had enough force from, the weight of it or whatever, that it managed to tear his gym shoes to shreds. So he's running in the house with his gym shoes literally falling off his feet in pieces. So then on May 6th at 3 a.m. Now this is, let's see, the first attack was the first encounter was on the 25th. So we're maybe a week, maybe a little less than that later. Henry was awoken at 3 a.m. by the sounds of all the neighborhood dogs barking in fear. And he was and to him, it sounded odd. Why is all the neighborhood dogs barking? And they'd been at it for quite a while. So he got up and he looked at his front door, and he saw the monster again. This time the monster was standing on the railroad train tracks that were across from his house. And it was just standing there, just walking along the tracks very slowly, not in a big hurry or anything, just walking along like it was taking a stroll, no big deal. Then also there was another credible sighting that happened on the day of May 6th. And this happened, a gentleman by the name of Rick Rainbow, who was a director of a radio station, and 3 other men, they were out hunting for this creature, spotted the monster near an abandoned house that was just a short distance away from the McDaniels place. Now, they did not get a good look at it because it was running at unnatural speeds away from them. But they did describe it, and they said it was 5 feet tall, it was gray, and it was kind of stooped over when it walked. Now, Rainbow, while he was out there, was able to actually record what was going on. So this is the first time anybody had gotten a tape recording of this creature making its noise. As I said, McDaniel's story then got picked up by the local papers, and soon there were swarms of reporters, monster hunters, and everybody was coming to this small town, and it was total anarchy, and the sheriff of the town did not like it. And he kept telling McDaniels, not to share his story because he was worried something like this would happen. And McDaniels didn't want to back down about his story because he felt that people needed to know about this. And he went on and told it. Oh, and also in regards to the Rainbow guy, Rick Rainbow, when he had got the recording of the sound of this creature, there was a renowned researcher also in the town at the time, trying to do this big monster hunt named Lauren Coleman. And he was also tracking it down, and he also heard the sound of the creature when it made that noise. They said you could hear the sound for quite a distance away. A short time later, the sightings stopped as abruptly as they had started, and no one to this day can explain what this monster was, where it came from, or where it went. Now, some people think that it was an ET, and it was connected. There had been some UFO activity actually happening around that area during that time, and they believe that it was like, ET. It somehow got off of its spaceship and it's running around in the woods of Illinois causing a ruckus. Others believe that it was an escaped kangaroo, which to a degree it makes a little bit of sense because of the fact, that it was jumping and the height of it be the kangaroo. But people, when they started researching all this, they said that at that time there were no reports from any zoos or any type of animal placed in that area of an escaped kangaroo that could be causing havoc like that. Now, interestingly enough, there was a similar sighting or incident that occurred between 1941 and 1942 in a small town of Mount Vernon, which is actually only 45 miles away from Enfield. And these encounters involved a mysterious leaping beast that was terrorizing the local people, and apparently it was responsible for numerous animal deaths and mutilations in that region. Now, locals named this beast the Mount Vernon Monster and described it as looking like a baboon, and it was able to leap from 20 to 40 feet in a single bound. Now, some people speculated that this creature was the Enfield Monster, but most people actually think that it was the Devil's Monkey, which is another creature that apparently is, yes, I know, that is from that area. Aren't these great? Don't you just love some of the names that they come up with? Names. I know. I'm just like, eh. So this creature is like one of the most interesting creatures out of all the cryptids that are out there because it has like 3 legs and just some of the other characteristics of it. And like I said, people have not seen it since they encountered it in the 70s. So, some people are speculating that it's just hiding out in the woods, waiting for its ship to come back. Or some people think that, like I said, a lost terrestrial that had got beamed down to Earth, and when the UFO sighting stopped around the same time the creature disappeared. So some people think that they came back and got their creature, whatever it was, and brought it back to wherever they're from.
Reminds me of Mothman, how there was UFO sightings around the same time.
Yeah, isn't that? I've noticed though. Like I was looking some other ones up.
When there's cryptids, there's UFOs.
Yeah, yes, I've noticed that, and they also talk about like a change in the atmosphere too. And I think we remember that a little bit with the Mothman thing. They talk about how sometimes the atmosphere is like colder or whatever whenever there's UFOs around or there's a cryptid sighting going on, which is kind of interesting.
Didn't it? I thought that was something they talked about in Skinwalker Ranch.
Was it? Okay, I didn't know that. I just, like I said, I read about it.
It just sounds like, because remember they had like heat signatures.
Oh, that's right.
Like,
yeah.
Heat signatures change. Yeah. When like stuff would happen.
Yeah. But it's weird that.
Alleged.
Yeah, I know. It's all alleged. Like I said, this creature.
Everything's alleged.
I know, right? But, so, yeah, I mean, like I said, it hasn't been spotted in, that was the 70s. So that would, it hasn't been spotted in like 49 years. So either it went back to where it came from, or it's hiding out and waiting for, the invasion of Earth, or who knows what. Maybe it was a figment of somebody's imagination. But the credible part was, or the part that kind of makes it a little bit real, is the fact that they did find, the footprints that were matching to what they described this creature to have, like the 3 legs, and also the sighting on the house that was scratched. I mean, obviously a very, a tall animal had to have scratched the sighting and had pretty decent sized nails to put a tear in sighting, because sighting's pretty tough to mess with.
Yeah, it was a chupacabra.
Yeah, that thing will chew the sighting right off. Forget about the nails. But anyway, so that's my story for this week. If anybody lives in that area or that part of Illinois and you listen to us, if you have any stories to tell us about it, or maybe even the whole Devil's Kitchen area, we would love to hear from you. I mean, reach out to us on Instagram, or you can send us an email. So what do you have for us this week, Miss Kara? You're giggling.
I know. Well, this is going to be a doozy.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about the entities that are reported to be seen when you take DMT.
What is DMT?
Well, that's a great question, because I have that in my notes.
Okay.
What is DMT?
Yeah.
You might ask yourselves if you are not in the know.
I am not in the know.
It is dimethyltryptamine. It is a naturally occurring substance in many plants and animals, and is actually found in the human body.
Okay, I think I've heard of tryptamine before. Not
you know what I'm talking about. You haven't heard it referred to this name.
Okay.
It's used by various cultures for its ritual purposes.
Oh wait, is this one of those things that like makes you go into like a trance or kind of like is it a psychedelic drug kind of or?
Yes, it is. Okay. It is the most potent psychedelic drug.
Oh, are we going to talk about people licking frogs? Because that's supposed to be pretty... You can die from that.
No.
Okay.
Well, okay, so originally I told you I was looking into MK Ultra.
Right.
Which is when they would experiment with LSD.
Okay, yeah.
So that's how I ended up down to DMT.
Okay. That's all right.
Well, it was insane. Apparently the U.S. government was just, like, drugging people randomly
you didn't know that?
to see what would happen.
Yeah, there's like a big... That's
what the whole MK Ultra thing was.
Yeah, there's like
a whole thing. They were trying to, like, figure out mind control and shit.
Yeah, yes.
It was...
And they did it with college students. It wasn't that.
Yes, it was
Stanford?
College students.
Yes, I watched that. That
was like a thing.
Yeah,
and
it was messed up.
I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And they were doing some other because they're like, oh, well, we need to figure out how to break people's minds so then we can reprogram them.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's some crazy stuff there.
It's like a thing that's just like the government's like, yeah, let's do that. It sounds like a great idea.
And you're surprised that the government thought that was a great idea. They're always doing weird stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so regale us with your story. So
how I was looking at LSD. That's how I was. I mean, I've heard of DMT. I know what it is because it's on my bucket list of things I want to try.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Right. Your mother doesn't want to hear this.
We'll talk.
Grief.
No, Mom, it's so cool. Me and Savannah want to go one day because you can't obviously do it legally in the U.S.
You gotta go to Mexico, and then you gotta worry about having a bad trip.
No, it's not Mexico. You have to go like Cuba. You have to go Cuba.
Okay, yeah, you go to Cuba. See if you ever come back.
They have like these trips you can go, and it's like an all expensive fancy resort, and they will do it. Like they will give you the whatever. Anyways, we're getting excited.
All right, carry on.
Like I said, vision trips is mainly what it's used for. Like, there are different versions of the drug, like. Peyote.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
That's like what Native Americans. It's kind of similar to peyote. This one's a little bit more buck wild. Okay. So I think peyote's like a type of cactus or something.
I think it is. Yeah. There's also one they use down in Appalachia a lot too. That you can like go down there and people. Yeah, they use it to help people get off drugs and stuff. It's like a big thing down there.
Oh yeah, like so apparently the stuff that when you do take it, it can. Beneficial help, but then some people reported some interesting things that would happen. So, DMT has a rapid onset, and the intense effects. It's very intense effects, but it does not last very long. It only lasts about 5 to 15 minutes.
That's it.
Which is like crazy
fast.
That's it. However, if you consume it with a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, some sort of inhibitor, ayahuasca.
That's the one I'm talking about. That is the one from Kentucky.
Yes, ayahuasca is the most common. So you have to use it with DMT to get it to do the thing. If you just take it by itself, it only lasts 5 to 15 minutes. But if you take it with ayahuasca, it can last up to like 3 hours, basically. It's a way to it goes through your system too quick if you don't take the ayahuasca with it. Ayahuasca basically blocks the things that would get rid of it from your system quickly. We're learning about drugs. Don't do drugs.
Yeah, little kids that listen to this, please don't do drugs.
This is all alleged advice. Do not take this as medical advice. So the DMT structure can actually be found in serotonin and melatonin. So it's actually very similar to like the receptors for serotonin and melatonin. And like I said before, DMT is actually naturally found in the human body. Like it is something that we have found before. So it's not like some drugs that are like...
Right.
It's actually very similar to the components of psilocybin, which is what is in like magic mushrooms. That kind of stuff. So it's very similar, but it's more intense. So while taking DMT, people experience time dilation. Time is experienced differently, which is also a thing psilocybin does. Not that I would know. Visual, auditory hallucinations, and essentially like you feel like you are no longer in your body. So kind of like an out-of-body experience too, people will report experiencing. So DMT, if you take a certain dose of DMT, you will also be able to communicate with intelligent life forms.
Wait, what?
That's where That's why I was like, what?
Yep.
I'd never heard of this before. But it's a term called machine elves, is what people describe them as.
Machine
They're
elves?
like mechanical elf beings.
What?
Yeah, like elves.
Okay.
That's what I said. A lot of people, like, will experience this very similar entity.
Okay, weird.
This is absolutely insane, this quote. This is a guy he was a researcher who would take DMT and then, like, write about what his experiences were.
Mm-hmm.
I would encounter self-transforming elf machines, which are creatures, entities perhaps, although they are not made of matter. They are made out of syntax-driving light. Don't know what that means. Basically, they're made out of language.
Oh, okay.
Weird. Interesting. They use a language in which you see. It is made out of sounds, but you see it.
So it's like a visual language, is what you're saying.
It's like a visual language,
right.
Of sorts.
Uh-huh.
Which is wild.
Is weird, yes.
While people might not exactly see the elves, they will see something very similar to, like, these weird mechanical they're, like, basically geometry shapes. Like, instead of, like, a being, they kind of, like, I looked up photos of what people drew of their experiences, and they're very, like, trippy looking. Kind of like, you know, the psychedelic.
Right, yeah.
They just look strange. And then people will say that they are intelligent. Like, they're intelligent life. Like, they feel like they're not just, like, some being. Like, they actually are of, like...
Sentient?
You know,
is that what you're trying to say?
Sentient. Like, they're sentient creatures, and they're not just, like, figments of their imagination, you know?
Oh, okay. Huh.
And they will tell people basically you'll experience these creatures or deities, and then they'll, like, tell you, like, things you need to work on in your life.
Okay.
Like, and then people will communicate them with emotions or telepathically. It's not like something spoken out loud.
Right,
like I said before.
Oh, that makes sense. It's all in your head. I got it.
Yeah. So most people who do experience them, they will have a changed outlook on life, like, completely. And then 50% of atheists who take DMT will report that they are no longer atheists. And they will believe in a higher power.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is
how
crazy.
Many people? A lot of people who, like, go through this experience will, like, be, like, a completely changed person kind of thing.
There's some churches that do something similar to that.
Yeah, that is a thing too. I saw that, like, churches will do it because a lot of people report seeing God specifically.
Yeah. Huh.
But yeah, there's, like, a lot of research done into this for, like, hardcore alcoholics and stuff.
Right. Yeah. That it's supposed to. Yeah. It's supposed to.
It's a way to, like, help you become no longer addicted to, like, stuff.
Yeah. That's what like that one that you talked
about. So, like,
there's
what we were talking about before is you can go on these retreats. It's like a 7-day, 14-day, like, all expenses paid, like, retreat, and then they'll give you the drug in, like, a different country. I want to go so bad. It's on my bucket list.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'll do it, and then we'll tell you guys my experiences.
Yeah.
You don't. Well, that's why they have. I actually listened to a podcast about someone who tried it. Like, they went to one. Like, the place paid for them to come to experience it, and then, like, tell people. And they were pretty non-believers about this because it's kind of crazy. And their experience is pretty wild. They'll have, like, health people, doctors in the room making sure, and basically you'll all sit in a room together. And just do the drugs.
Okay.
And you'll just lay down, and because, like, some psychedelics you take, you can, like, you still experience the world. These ones, you are just, like, no longer wherever you are. You are somewhere else.
Got you.
Which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Huh.
But this reminds me of the God helmet.
That's what I was just thinking.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
I was thinking, that's the connection is.
Yep.
Is this the God helmet? Remember we talked about it's the way to get past the reality, or is it like enlightening you to a different plane of existence? Because a lot of people had the same experiences.
I wonder if somebody tried,
like, people experience God, quote unquote.
I wonder if anybody has ever tried to take that
and do the helmet
stuff that you just talked about, and then do the God helmet.
What?
Yes,
like what? That's
what
a great
kind
thing. We should tell someone to try.
Right? Yes.
There's like
try
both.
That, yeah.
People are scientifically studying both things. Another nickname actually for DMT is the spirit molecule, because it's supposed to make you see God or whatever. Which I thought it was oddly familiar to the God helmet, which is why I was like, oh, we should talk about this, because it has that same properties. Like, is it actually something yours? Like, is it, like, are we able to witness something? Because the reality is different, or, like, we're shifting realities. Who knows?
Or getting rid of the veil that's,
veil,
constant,
like,
well, like the veil
even, like,
both worlds.
even taking, like, other drugs, or not drugs, like mushrooms,
substances that can elevate your experience.
Like,
Let's say that.
But I feel like they do very similar things.
Yeah,
where you're kind of like,
but not to that
but this
degree.
But this one is more of
right.
Like, you probably have to take a lot of the others. Like I said,
right
this is more
to
intense.
do like this small, like
But I feel like it slowly peels the veil. But this is like, oh, here it is.
Right. Yeah. Like
there's this
totally
other plane of existence where these entities are that are communicating, and that people have such similar experiences is kind of wild.
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, we should talk about this because I thought it was interesting.
It is interesting. Because
this is like the other was like messing with your brain, and this one is just like a chemical that's already found in us.
Right. Huh.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought it was an interesting thing that we could talk about.
Definitely interesting.
And I'll have to try it one day, allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we need to find somebody that actually conducts an experiment where they wear the God helmet and take this stuff to see what would happen. Yeah.
I wonder what would happen. Like, will they be completely...
Inquiring minds want to know. Like, will they totally, like, meet a total different entity?
What if they no longer can come back?
Else? I know, that would be scary, right? And they're stuck wherever they're at. Yeah.
Yeah,
in some
I don't
weird
know.
Dimension.
Someone needs to take a chance and try it out.
It also kind of reminds me of that egg chair thing. Remember that when we talked about like a way long time ago where they were doing experiments with the egg chair and it could go to different planes of existence and stuff?
Oh, yeah. I thought it was interesting.
Very interesting.
Like, so many people experience these entities. I want to try it because I want to experience it.
Okay.
I want to talk to the machine elves.
Yeah, all right. You and the machine elves, you have fun.
Me and Savannah and Evan are going to go one day. It's my bucket list item.
Savannah. That doesn't surprise me a bit.
They're not as expensive as you think it would be. I was looking at
but you have to go to Cuba, and you do know that we're not in good relations with Cuba right now, right?
Well, there's other countries.
Okay.
I think that
I wouldn't go to Cuba.
I was trying to see if the Dominican Republic did it.
No, stop while you're ahead.
I think I saw one that was like a 7-day retreat. It was only like $1,000.
That's not bad, but then you have to. Are you like?
Which is not as, but that's not as. That's all expenses paid. Resort we're going to, but it's
but it makes you wonder. Yeah, but it makes you wonder what kind of resort it is.
It looks as pretty.
Okay.
It looks cool. I've seen photos. Right. I'm not saying I'm doing that anytime soon, but it's on my bucket list.
Anyway, all right, that was definitely interesting.
All right. Well, if you enjoyed our podcast today, follow us on Instagram at 2scaredycats podcast, and please be sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps the show get discovered. And tune in 2 weeks for a new episode. And to all our scaredy cats and kittens out there, remember, curiosity didn't kill these 2 scaredy cats.